Today we're going to talk about defending rook and bishop versus rook when you have the rook. This is probably, well, it is the hardest position to hold of all the common endings. It is algorithm number 20 on our ChessDojo training program, and that begins around 1900 FIDE, about 2150 chess.com. You will get this position several times in your career, both from either side. And like all of these algorithms that we learn, there's more to it. The gains from learning it aren't just to do with getting the position and knowing how to deal with it, but learning something about chess geometry, right? Okay, now, I have a method about how to draw this thing. It is very difficult. You might not get it. And I want to stress, when you get this in an actual game, especially if it's an over-the-board game, a longer game, you're going to be exhausted. And that's where the method will be the most helpful, right? You don't want to try to think of it as a series of moves to remember, more like a couple patterns. And the series of moves to remember is really when you have the winning side and how to win this particular position. So the method consists of knowing four things, okay? And this is going to be number one. This position is the position we do not want. This is the pattern of doom. Here we are lost, okay? And I covered that in the first video about how to win this position, and I'm going to link to that here. So that's step one, and of course, that video will teach you how to do that. There it really is an algorithm which you really need to learn and to practice. Okay, let's move on to the next. It looks very similar, doesn't it, this position? This, though, is one of the key drawing ideas for the defending side. This is sometimes called the ladder position or the Cochrane position. And the simple point is that it is very unfortunate that for the black that the way the king and the bishop are situated. So, for example, check to the miserable king, and I just calmly step back, and there's no easy way for the bishop and the king to untangle themselves. Okay, so that's number two. Again, it's just a method, and we have a couple positions that we want to know. All right, now the one that's probably the trickiest, okay? And this is called the second rank defense, and this is the one that you want to know a couple patterns to. Now, in this position, it's black to move. And of all the positions, I think this is maybe one of the scariest, so I chose this one. It looks like we're toast. In particular, it looks like we're toast here after king d3. Okay, now, the second rank defense has a very simple idea in terms of how to defend the thing. We say check to the miserable king. We can't really be taken because that is a draw. Okay, that is our fundamental trick of the second rank defense. I also want to note that in this position, we have this clever little check. Check to the miserable king, and then if he takes it, it's a draw. Now, I'm going to go through some of the second rank defense when I show the next example. So one thing I did, just a little backstory here, to my mind, the world's greatest expert on the rook and bishop versus rook is my friend, Grandmaster Josh Friedel. And for a long time, I was very intimidated by this ending, simply because he was such a master of it. You know, sometimes you have friends and they really master something and you're just like, dude, I will never, ever be able to grasp what this dude is doing. And for him, he's really drilled it down to a high level of pattern recognition of which positions are lost and which are winning, and then how to win those things. And like I said, it's not just about this particular position, it's learning about chess geometry. In any case, part of my dream for this video, which is one of the hardest ones I've ever had to do, is first for myself to really learn it. And could I hold the position against Josh? If I could, then that would be amazing, right? Could I create a method for which, okay, I can hold the position against the greatest of all time in this particular ending? In chess, sometimes it's possible to draw or even beat our superiors. Okay, so let's take a look. I am white in this position. Josh is black. By the way, this is very important. What the ChessDojo training program does is, for an algorithm like this, it's going to give you 3 positions. Those 3 positions, you have to be able to win or hold 3 times in a row. Of course, since we're white here, we're just trying to hold the position, right? We need to hold the position 3 times. And then if we do that, we can move to the next position. This is the hardest of those 3, and I had to hold this 3 times. It was not easy. Okay, so here I am against the world's expert, and let's just take a look at how I did this. Okay, so here we go. Cochrane position, right? The first one we talked about. Okay, so black has to go to one of the sides. He chooses this way. Now, because he's a cunning dude, and what we're going to talk about in the bit of number 4 is he would like me to go to the corner, because I want to go on the opposite square of the king, of black's king. He wants me to go to what's really the bad corner, and I want to stay out of that corner. The bad corner is the one where the bishop is not touching the queening square. So this corner is my bad corner. This corner is a little bit easier for me to defend. Now, I must go that way, unfortunately, because look, if I go here, that's, well, I can't do that yet, boss. I can't do that yet. But the real danger, okay, is that his king is going to come to d3 now. I can't do it immediately, but we'll come to d3 and then put the bishop in front, okay? I could start with bishop here, for example. So let's see what happened. I went this way, bishop f4. So now the rook gets to come back. Very important. And what I want you to see is that is the basis of the second rank defense. And so here I just want to show an example of how this worked. By the way, in a real game too, in this one, it was very intimidating. I moved 9 here, and I got to make it to move 50. So I got 41 moves where I have to play roughly perfect chess against the greatest of all time in sending. Not the easiest. Let's take a look. The first thing I want you to see, it's really annoying for black, is anytime he checks, we just move away. And then it's a tempo on the rook, of course, because black cannot trade. All right, so I'm just going to take it easy over here. As long as I can achieve the second rank defense, I'm okay. And Josh tries to hurt me from a variety of perspectives, but I'm just like, no, Bows. I'm not going to get hurt. I'm not going to have it done to me. Very important to, be, okay, now here's an example, right? I have to have a nice square for my rook. Boom. Boom. Boom, I'm okay. Again, if they check you, it's a bummer because I can just move away. He's threatening mate, the dirty dog. I'm just going to hang out. We're just going to hang out. We're fine. And this is the way it all went down. Mount moved 41. He was pressing and pressing and pressing. And I want to stress, I don't think I could do this every time. I would like to believe I could, but I know he is very tricky. And by the way, now when I go here, we have the Cochrane position, the ladder position, inverted. Okay, and one of his favorite tricks actually is to invert people onto the other side of the board. Okay, so that's number 3, the most important, the second rank defense. And now I want to give you a taste of the wrong corner. So just as a story, I have had this position with the bishop and the rook several times before I really knew how to do it. Okay, I didn't actually know what I was doing, but I did manage to win those games. Usually, I think because my opponent, well, they didn't know what they were doing, and they would go to the wrong corner. And so even though I didn't know really anything about it, I was able to create enough problems where I didn't need to know the fancy algorithm. Okay, so mistake number 1, he shuts me down. And look, what I really want to stress here is I'm already in really big trouble. Okay, that's the computer's annotations, by the way. I thought it was very normal for him. So notice, even the greatest person of all time, this endgame is making a mistake or two. And here, big troubles. Now, for example, here the computer thinks I'm still alive with rook d1. Not the easiest thing because I've already lost the second rank defense. So it's already an example where several things have gone wrong. I've lost the second rank defense and my king is misplaced. So sometimes when you lose the second rank defense, you might have some miracle way out, but when you're playing the game, you don't know that. And if I was black here, I would believe I was winning, and I believe Josh also thought he was winning here. Check to the miserable king. And now I am toast. There's nothing to do. Check. Such a nice dirty check. And then I had to resign. King here, bishop here, king here, here, and it's going to be mate. Nota bene, that was move 43. So actually, yeah, let's go. Let's do a couple moves. And then boom, that's move 46. All right, so that even there, I was kind of close. So I want to stress, this is one of the hardest things, and one of the great things about the dojo is we're forcing people to not just be like, oh, I saw it in a video, I think I get it. No. That's not the way it's going to go. You must practice it and prove it at least 9 times. And I know for myself, I definitely needed that practice, and one of the great things about the dojo is that expires after 3 years. So in 3 years, I'm going to have to do it again, prove it again. Absolutely correct. This is not something that's just simply going to stick with you. It's a very painful experience, too, that you need to go through. It's like surviving some nasty yoga pose or something like that. So there it is. How to defend with the rook against the rook and bishop.